tables, about basic operators and basic data types, primitive data types, and how to write comments. Okay, how to break a statement. So these things we have learned. So those are a basic primitive concepts, Okay, but now we need to construct the serious programs, lengthy programs. We need to construct the programs. How do we construct the programs? We need to use constructs. Okay, if is one construct, then for is one construct, while is one construct, with is one construct, def is one construct, class is one construct. So there are several constructs. So now we are going to construct the program, or in other words, we are going to construct the blocks of code. We are supposed to construct the blocks of code. Okay, that is what we are going to do. Okay, we'll start with if. Hey, somebody mute yourself, please. Yeah, right. So please mute yourself, guys. Okay, don't turn on your mic and speak. Okay, make sure you're always muted unless you want to ask some question. Today, I'm not going to take a lengthy session for the simple reason. I'm just out of my home, so I'll take a quick session, a tiny session, but I want you to understand few things which are very, very important. So we are going to look at the if statement today. If statement. If statement is called conditional statement. Conditional statement. Okay. If is conditional statement. What does it mean? What does it mean? That means you can execute the program conditionally. So based on the condition, you can execute the program. Not only it is a conditional, it is also conditional branching statement. So using if, you can branch the code. You can divide the code into branches, or you can divide the code into categories. Okay. Now, let's say after finishing your 10th class, in front of you, there were several branches to choose from, several options. You can call them as branches. One branch is you can choose MPC. Other one is BPC. Other one is CEC. Then, MECS. Okay, then you have Polytechnic, or you can choose to work somewhere. So you have 6 branches in front of you, and you can only choose one branch. Remember, you can only choose one branch. Remember that. You can only choose one branch. You can never choose 2 branches. So if statement will create branches, okay, and your program or if statement will choose only one branch. Max, it will choose one branch. Max. And minimum, it will not choose any branch. Let's say after you finish your 10th class, you have 6 options in front of you. That is MPC, BPC, CEC, MECS, Polytechnic, and a job. There are 6 options, but you can also, choose no option and stay at home. There are 6 branches in front of you. You can only choose one branch, or you can choose no branch, no option. Okay. Same thing is done by if condition. Okay. If you want to understand this, I'll tell you a story. Okay. Listen to this story. You are in the jungle. You are in the middle of the jungle. And you are feeling hungry. Okay. If you don't eat anything, you are going to collapse. And in that jungle, there is only one tree. There is only one tree. That is a magical tree. That is a magical tree. And you can go to that tree and you can take a fruit from that tree. Mr. Saujanya, you are drawing something. That's not good. Okay. So, if you do something, if you draw something, we can easily identify you. Don't distract us and don't distract yourself. Don't distract all the people who are going to benefit. Okay, there are people, some of the people, for those small group, maybe 10 people or 5 people, for them it's going to be a lifesaver. Don't disturb them. Don't behave mischievously. Okay, be decent and think about others. Don't just think about yourself. Okay, don't be selfish in life. Okay, it is not just your time, it is everyone's time. So don't be selfish. Okay, right. So if is a conditional branching statement. Now I'm telling you a story. You're in the middle of a jungle, and in front of you there is a magical tree, and that magical tree has several branches. Just like after finishing your 10th class, you are presented with a lot of branches to choose from. Even that magical tree has several branches to choose from. Now, but the tree is very big. Okay, you're standing in front of the tree and you're feeling thirsty or hungry, and only that tree can give you food. In the entire jungle, only that tree can give you food. So what you have to do is you have to go to that tree and you have to get a fruit from the tree. Now, this is the procedure to get a fruit from the tree. This is the procedure. Tree is very big. It is in front of you, and the tree is covered with leaves. When you are standing in front of tree, you can't see a single branch. You can't see a single branch. No branches will appear. Tree has branches, but no branch will appear outside because it is covered with too many leaves. Too many leaves. Okay, so only when you climb the tree, you can reach the first branch. After you cross the second branch, first branch, you will see the second branch. After you cross the second branch, you will see the third branch. After you cross the third branch, you will see the fourth branch. You understand? Only one branch you can access. The beautiful thing is that tree can have many fruits or few fruits or no fruits. We don't know. But one fruit is enough for you. One fruit is enough for you. The moment you eat the fruit on the tree will throw you down. It will throw you down. Now let's think like this. You are in front of the tree. You can't see any branches. You climb the tree and you found the first branch. On the first branch, there is a fruit. There is a fruit. So you will eat that fruit. You will eat that fruit from the first branch. Immediately, tree will throw you down, and you will not know how many branches are there. You don't know whether there is a second branch, a third branch, or fourth branch, or fifth branch. You will not be aware of any branches. Okay. But let's say you took the tree, you are feeling hungry, you took the first branch, there are no fruits, only then you can go to second branch. When you don't find any fruits on the first branch, only then you can go to second branch. Only then you can go to second branch. So in the second branch, you find a fruit and you eat it. The moment you eat it, it will throw you down. You cannot go up to third branch, you cannot go up to fourth branch because your hunger is fulfilled. You are satisfied, so it will throw you down. Okay. And let's say you find no fruit on the first branch, you find no fruit on the second branch, you find no fruit on the third branch, then only you can go to the fourth branch. And if you find a fruit on fourth branch, you eat it and it will throw you down, and you cannot see whether there is a fifth branch or not. That is a magical tree. That is a magical tree. Now we are talking about that magic in programming. So we are talking about if construct. Now this is going to help us to construct the code. It is going to help us to construct the code in the form of branches. And your program will execute only one branch. That's what it does. Now let's look at the syntax. Let's look at the syntax. See the syntax: if, Boolean expression, okay, colon, and block, okay, and else, elif, Boolean expression, okay, and block, then else, block, okay. So this is the syntax. This is the syntax, and we'll try to understand it little by little. Okay, probably not today, but by tomorrow session. Not tomorrow. I'm not available on tomorrow, but by the end of Monday's session, you will understand what exactly if statement is and how it works. Look at this if statement. Okay, I'm going to copy this into Notepad and I'll modify it a little further. because here we can modify it further. Okay, so look at this if statement. Okay, what is this? This is just a syntax. This is not the real code. Remember, this is not real code. This is just a syntax. Okay, so not real code. Look at this if. This is if statement, entire if statement. Okay, let me also, type the syntax, context. So it is if statement, entire if statement. Okay, in this if statement, we see three parts: if part, elif part, else part. Okay, there are three parts, and each part is called a clause: if clause, elif clause, else clause. So in the if statement, there is a if clause, elif clause, else clause. There are three clauses in the if statement. Three clauses in the if statement. Okay, remember that. Okay, so if statement begins with the keyword if, but inside if there are three clauses: if clause, elif clause, else clause. If, elif, and else clauses. Okay, right. Keep that in mind. That's number one. Number two, look at the if clause. It is just like that. But look at the elif clause. It is surrounded by brackets. And else clause is also surrounded by brackets. What does it mean? It means this. If clause in a if statement, if clause is required. If is required. It is required. You must have if clause. You must have if clause. What about elif clause? Elif clause. Now, elif clause is optional. Elif clause is optional. It is optional. Okay, anything you see in brackets in the syntax, So syntax is not actual code, right? It is not actual code, but in the syntax, anything you see in brackets, it is optional. So that means elif is optional. It is optional. So in if statement, you must write if clause, but elif is optional. What about else? Else is also optional. Else is optional. So if you are writing if statement, remember that you must write if clause, and elif clause is optional. You only write it when you need it. When you need it. When you don't need it, you don't write elif clause. Similarly, you only write else clause when you need it. When you don't need it, you don't write it. But if clause is required if you are writing a if statement. In the if statement, there are three clauses: if, elif, and else. If is must, required. Elif is optional. Else is optional. Okay, that's what I wrote here. Okay, second thing is, how many if clauses you can write in a if statement? Okay, only one. Only one. One and only one. That's it. You write only one if clause. But how many elif clauses you can write? How many elif clauses you can write? Elif is optional, right? Elif is optional. So when you don't need, you don't write any elif clauses. But look at the three dots. What is three dots? See, whenever you write something and if you put three dots, what does it mean? It means, mathematically, it means ellipsis. But generally, in a conversation, it means so on and so forth. Or it means continuous. So you can have n number of elif clauses. When you don't need, you don't write a single elif clause. But when you need, you can write n number of elif clauses. What about else clause? Else is optional. Optional. So when you don't need, you don't write else clause. But when you need it, you write only one else clause. So in a if statement, there is always one if clause. But elif clauses can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any number of elif clauses. And else clauses can be 0 or 1. Okay, can be 0 or 1. So keep this in mind. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. Right. Now, so I gave a brief description of this. I'm going to get into details. Today, I'll try to make you understand to an extent But in the Monday's class, you will clearly understand how if statement works. Okay, right. So look at this. Look at this. This is the syntax. And if statement has a Boolean expression. If clause has a Boolean expression. Elif clause has a Boolean expression. What is a Boolean expression? Okay, Boolean expression is something that returns true or false. What does it mean? It means the statements can only execute when the Boolean expression is true. The statement can only execute when the Boolean expression is true. But remember one thing, I told you, you may have a lot of branches, but statements from only one branch will execute. That is most. At most, the statements from only one branch will execute. Okay, but at least sometimes statements from no branch will execute. You will understand it in Monday's class. Very clearly, you will understand. No doubt about it. So Boolean expression is something that becomes true or false. You can also call it as a condition. Okay, you can also call it as a condition. Okay, because it is a conditional branching statement. So you write conditions. Conditions are represented by Boolean expression. There is a Boolean expression associated with if clause. There is a Boolean expression associated with elif clause, but there is no Boolean expression associated with else clause. Okay, that's number one. Okay, what about this block? What is this block? Block. What is the meaning of this block? Block means statements. That's it. Block is your code or statements. Okay, 1 to write start meeting summary with AI companion. Who is this Alim? Who is this Alim? Syed Alim, who is this? Somebody put something in the Syed Alim. Is there anybody named Syed Alim? Okay, Syed. Yeah. What is that, Syed Alim? Okay, you have sent something. Start meeting summary with AI companion. Okay, right. Okay, so a block is statements or statement. It can be 1 to many statements. It can be one statement. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't matter. Okay. It was by mistake. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. Right. So what is block? Block is statements. That's it. Block is statements. But you see, there is something here called indentation. Before the block, there are some empty spaces. Okay. Or you have to call them as white spaces. White spaces represent indentation. They represent indentation. So in Python, indentation before a statement is very, very important. Okay, very, very important. I'll tell you the purpose of this in a minute. Okay, right. So let's look at, a statement. I write 5 plus 10. You see, do you see spaces within the statement? This is 5 plus 10 is a statement. Do you see spaces? There is a space before plus sign. There is a space after plus sign. So it works. Okay, right. And similarly, you can put just a space after plus sign, not before plus sign, but after plus sign. It works. Similarly, you can put space before plus sign, not after plus sign. It's gonna work. And if you don't want any spaces within a statement, it works. Even then it works. You can have a lot of spaces within a statement. You can have few spaces within a statement, and you can have no spaces within a statement. But what if I add spaces before the statement? What happens? 5 plus 10. Now 5 plus 10 already executed. It executed properly, but only difference is this time we are putting some space before the statement. What happens? It's gonna throw an error. Okay, listen to this very carefully. It's gonna throw an error. Why? Because in Python, The language heavily depends on indentation. It heavily depends on indentation. What does it mean? That means white spaces before a statement will define the block. Now, if I execute this, it throws an error. See, unexpected indentation. That means unexpected white space before the statement. You can write white spaces within a statement. You can write white spaces within a, you can put white spaces within a statement, or you don't need any white spaces within a statement. But if you put a white space before the statement, that throws an error. Why is that? See, you only put white spaces before a statement if the statement is part of some construct. Okay, in the morning, not morning, just now I told you, we are talking about constructs. If a statement is part of a construct, only then you have to use this indentation. You have to use spaces before a statement. So let's go back to syntax. So when I write a block, a set of statements under if, they need to have white spaces or indentation. Okay, before them, they need to have indentation to imply, to tell Python that this block of statements belong to if clause. If clause. And this block of statements, they have indentation before it, white spaces before it, to tell Python that this block of statements part of elif clause. Okay, and this block of statements, they have indentation to tell Python this block belongs to else clause. So when you put some space before a statement, you should have a reason. That statement should fall under some construct, some clause. It belongs to some clause. Okay, so this block belongs to if clause. This block belongs to elif clause, and this block belongs to else clause. So we should be very careful when we add spaces before a statement. In Python, don't add spaces before a statement without a reason. You put spaces before a statement only if that statement or those statements, they fall under some clause, they fall under some constraint. Otherwise, you should never add spaces before a statement. Okay, right. Now keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now, having this, we are going to write if statement now. So having this, we are going to write if statement. Okay, right. I'm going to open a file editor. So this is the file editor. Okay, I'm going to write, create a variable, age is equal to 35. If age is greater than or equal to 18, then print, you can vote, and voting is on 31st October. Okay, and print, see you at polling booth on that day. Okay, right. Right. So I'm going to write another print statement. Bye. Okay, look at this. We have, all the statements, a lot of statements are there, but we need to understand how they are designed. Listen to this carefully. First statement is age is equal to 35. First statement is age is equal to 35. That is one statement. So it will execute that first statement. Then it will come to if construct. See, it will come to if construct that. If construct. There is a statement. After that statement, there is a construct. That means if will help us to construct the code in a particular way. There is a if construct. And in this if construct, there are three print statements. There are three print statements. Under this construct, there are three print statements. Okay, there is a age statement. Okay, there is a statement. The first statement creates variable age. It holds 35 value. And then we have a construct. And this construct includes three print statements. And after that construct, we have print statement. There are four print statements in this code. The first three print statements are part of if construct. They are part of if construct. And the fourth print statement is not part of if construct. How do you say the first three print statements are part of if construct, and how do you say fourth statement is not part of if construct? Because the first three print statements, they have indentation before them, they have white spaces before them. Because they have white spaces before them, okay, they are part of if statement. Okay, they're part of if statement. Yeah. Okay, right. Now keep that in mind. Okay, now look at this. Okay, if we go back to our code, the block has indentation before. The block has indentation before it. Right. Okay, so the first three statements are indented, so they're part of if clause. And the fourth print statement is not indented. That means with the fourth print statement, the if clause has ended. If clause has ended. Okay, right. Now let me save this program. I'm going to save this program with today's name, October 26.py. Okay, and that is the name of today's program. Okay, right. Now, okay, let's see. Let's save it. I have saved it. So let's execute it. Look at this. Age is equal to 35. Age is equal to 35. Age is 35. 35 greater than or equal to 18. Is it true or false? It is true. It is just like, you're standing in front of a magical tree and you climb the tree. You took the first branch. There is a fruit. That means the condition is true. You are looking for a fruit and you found the fruit. That is called truth. Okay, true. Okay, you found the fruit, true. Because it is true, you found the fruit, you will eat the fruit from there. So it will execute the statements from this clause. It will execute the statements from this clause. Okay, right. So look at this. Age is equal to 35 and 35 is greater than 18 is true. Because it is true, it will execute all these three print statements. What about the fourth print statement? It will execute the fourth print statement, but not as part of if clause. Not as part of if clause, but after if clause, it will execute this statement. Okay, okay, right. Now I'll save this. I'll execute this. You see the outcome. First print statement prints, you can vote. Second print statement prints, voting is on 31st October. Third print statement prints, see you at polling booth on that day. And fourth print statement prints, bye. Four print statements got executed. But let's say somebody came aged 17 and want to vote. Let's see what happens. Age is 17. And 17 greater than or equal to 18 is false. So it is not going to execute these three statements. But it will execute by. But it will execute by. Okay, let's execute this code. Okay, it only executes the fourth print statement, which prints by. Okay, so what does it mean? When the Boolean expression is true, it will execute the statements under if clause. When the Boolean expression is false, it won't execute the statements under if clause. It won't execute the statements under if clause. But it executes print statement always. The fourth print statement is by. Why? Because this is not part of if clause. Okay. So there are three parts here. Age is equal to 17 is one part statement. And if construct is one construct. Okay. That is another thing. Okay. And print by is another statement. So there is a statement, there is a construct, and after the construct, there is another statement. But within the construct, there are three statements. Okay. So the statements under construct will only execute when the Boolean expression is true. Okay. When the Boolean expression is false, it won't execute. Now, if I execute this, it only execute by, because this is false. It won't execute the statements under it. And when you make it true, okay, if the age is 27, this condition is true. So it will execute the statements under this clause. Okay, right. So it will execute the statements under this clause. Now the point is very simple. How do we make these statements? as part of this if clause by adding white spaces before it. Okay. What if I remove these white spaces? What happens if I remove these white spaces? What happens? Okay. So you wrote a Boolean expression with if clause. You wrote a Boolean expression. And look at the syntax. There should be a block under if clause, but there is no block. And if there is no block under it, what is the use of Boolean expression becoming true or false? If there is nothing to execute under if statement, if there is nothing to execute under if clause, if there is nothing to execute, okay, what is the purpose of writing Boolean expression? So if I try to execute this code now, it clearly says it is expecting an indented block. It says expected an indented block after if statement on line 3. It is expecting indentation. You must write at least one statement that is indented. Okay, so let's see that. I'll put 3 statements that are indented. Okay, now you can see those 3 statements are executed because the Boolean expression is true. Okay, can I add more? Now the 3 statements have equal indentation. They have equal indentation. They must have equal indentation. In fact, all the statements in the block must have equal indentation. They must have equal indentation. Okay, that's mandatory. Now, what if one statement has more indentation? It throws an error. Unindent does not match any outer indentation level. Okay, or let's say, what if the last statement has more indentation? What happens? It says unexpected indent. So what does it imply? It implies all the statements must be equally indented in a block. Okay, right. We wrote this code. You understood this code, right? So, but look at this. From the syntax, in the if statement, there are 3 clauses. If clause, elif clause, else clause. How many clauses did we use in the code? Only if clause. Only if clause. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. We only wrote, if clause. Why didn't we write elif clause and else clause? Because I thought we don't need it now. And because elif clause and else clause are optional, so we are able to ignore it. They are optional and we don't need them, so we didn't write them. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's very simple. Okay, right. So now I want to write else clause. This time I will remove the independent statement. I'll write the else clause. Print, you can't vote now. Okay, so print, wait till, okay, 18 minus age years. Right. Look at this. So you can vote. Voting is on 31st October. You see you at polling booth on that day. Okay. So it is something like this. You need to understand. Okay. So age is 27. 27 is greater than or equal to 18. True. It is true. So it will execute these statements. Okay. And it won't execute the else part. I told you, if there are several branches, you can only choose from one branch. There can be 2 branches, 3 branches, 4 branches, 5 branches, 10 branches. It doesn't matter. In this case, there are 2 branches, but it will only execute from one branch. It will only execute from branch. So it will execute from if. So it will start checking. It will start executing the first statement, age is equal to 20, age is equal to 27. Then it will start with if clause. Then it will go to else clause. But the moment it comes to if clause, okay, it looks at the Boolean expression 27 greater than or equal to 18 is true, and it will execute the statements from if clause. It will execute the statements from if clause. So I'll save this, execute it. It will execute the statements from if clause. Okay. What about else clause? As I told you, it can only execute statements from one class. It already executed the statements from if clause. It is not going to execute the statements from else clause, and if statement ends. You can have other statements after if statement, other statements. Okay, if you have other statements, it will execute those statements, but they are not part of if statement. They are not part of if clause, else clause, or any other clause. They are not part of if statement. Just like age is not part of if statement, you can have other statements which are not part of if statement. Okay, right. Okay, right. Now I think this is little ambiguous to you, but now we are going to write a program, and I'll explain that in the next class. Okay, tomorrow we don't have any classes. Okay, right. Now tomorrow we don't have any classes, and we'll discuss on Monday. So I'm going to write a if statement that will answer all your questions. Okay, right. Okay, let me just put it here. I'm just modifying everything quickly for your convenience. Let's save this. Now look at this. This is a if statement, one if statement. You can say one if clause. Because it is a one if statement, you can say one if clause. But you have several elif clauses, 4 elif clauses. In the previous program, there were no elif clauses because we didn't need elif clauses. Elif clause is optional. We didn't need elif clauses. We can also have 0 elif clauses. We didn't need elif clauses. Okay, so we had no elif clauses in the previous code. Now we need them, so we had 4 elif clauses because you can have n number of elif clauses. Look at the 3 dots, it implies so on and so forth, or continues. Okay, so you can have n number of elif clauses, so we wrote elif clauses. Okay, now how many branches are there? If branch, first elif branch, second elif branch, third elif branch, fourth elif branch. So there are 5 branches. There are 5 branches. Okay, now understand. Okay, there are 5 branches, but statements from only one branch will execute. Statements from only one branch will execute. Let's quickly try to understand this. You can have statements after if clause, statements, more statements, because your program can be very lengthy, but we are just focusing on if part. You need to understand only this. So marks 99. And look at this. There are 5 classes. It will start with first class, then it will come to second class, then it will come to third class, then it will come to fourth class, then it will come to fifth class. But there are 5 branches. As I told you, it will execute statements only from one branch. So marks 99, it will come to first branch. 99 greater than or equal to 90 is true. It is true. So it is going to print grade A. It will print grade A. Let's see that it will print grade A. It printed grade A. But look at all the Boolean expressions. If 99 greater than or equal to 90 is true, 99 greater than or equal to 80 is true, 99 greater than or equal to 70 is true, 99 greater than or equal to 60 is also true, 99 greater than or equal to 50 is also true. All the Boolean expressions of all the branches are true, but it executes statements from only one branch. It executes statements from only one branch because this is the first branch whose Boolean expression is true. So it will execute the statements from that branch. So because it can only execute statements from one branch, then after executing the statements from this one branch, it will jump to the next section, which is more statements. That's what exactly happens. Okay, right. So let's take another score, 88. This time we'll take another score, 88. Okay, this time we'll take another score, 88. Let's see that. So marks 88. 88 greater than or equal to 90 is false. So it is not going to execute statements from here. So it is not going to print grade A. But 88 greater than 80 is true. 88 greater than 70 is true. 88 greater than 60 is true. 88 greater than 50 is true. So all these four Boolean expressions are. But this Boolean expression is true first. From all the four, this Boolean expression is true first. So it will execute statements from only this branch, this class, grade B, and it will jump to more statements. So let's execute this. It only prints grade. You understand how it is working? Okay. Now let's change the score to 77. Okay. Marks is 77. 77 greater than or equal to 90 is false. 77 greater than or equal to 80 is false. So first two classes Boolean expressions are false. We have to forget about that. But look at the next three classes. 77 greater than or equal to 70 is true. 77 greater than or equal to 60 is true. 77 greater than or equal to 50 is true. So these three classes Boolean expressions are true. But among these three, this is the first class to become true. So it will execute the statements from this class. It will print grade C and it will jump to the next section. So let's see that. It prints grade C. Okay, right. Now let's change the score to 66. Okay, and 66 greater than or equal to 90 is false. 66 greater than or equal to 80 is false. 66 greater than or equal to 70 is false. 66 greater than or equal to 60 is true. 66 greater than or equal to 50 is true. So these two Boolean expressions are true. But this is the class whose Boolean expression is true first. So it will print the statements from this class. It will print grade B, grade D. Okay, right, grade D. Okay, right. Finally, we'll change the score to 55. Okay, now 55 greater than or equal to 90 is false. 55 greater than or equal to 80 is false. 55 greater than or equal to 70 is false. 55 greater than or equal to 60 is false. So all these four classes Boolean expressions are false. The last Boolean class, elif, marks 55 greater than or equal to 50 is true. So it will execute the statements only from that class. Okay. So what did we understand from all these things? There can be several branches and Boolean expression of more than one branch can become true, but it will only execute statements from one branch, one class. That's what you need to understand. But what if somebody scores 45? So it will execute no statement, no print statement. Okay, because this is false, this is false, this is false, this is false, this is false. All the Boolean expressions are false. I told you it will execute statements from only one class, one branch, or no classes, no branch. So in this case, it executed statements from no branch, no branch. So if you want to execute statements, at least something, even when everything is false, then write else class, because else class has no Boolean expression. There's no Boolean expression. So write else class, else print fail. Okay. So we use else when it executes when all Boolean expressions are false. When all Boolean expressions are false, only it will come to this. Because this is also a branch. It is also a branch. It will come to this. So I'll stop it here. Any questions you would like to ask? You can ask. Any questions? Any questions? Anybody would like to ask any questions? It will become more interesting in the coming days. And I'm going to make it very interactive. So we are almost done with basics today. So from next class onwards, I'll give you some challenges, some exercises to build your programming muscle. So keep that in mind. So slowly in another 5-6 classes, I start, making the code more interactive. Okay, making the class more interactive. Okay. Yeah. Right. What is the benefit? The assignments that I give, I'm not talking about assessment. The assignments, the exercises that I gave will build your programming muscle. Okay, will help you to understand coding in a much better way. Okay, right. Hope you don't have any questions. Okay, see you all on Monday. Have a great time ahead. See you. Bye.